Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. We're here with another episode of Alice in Borderland, episode 3. Um, last time on Alice in Borderland, Shota got laid. Most important thing that happened in the last episode, okay? I don't imagine, I think Karubi made a joke about it in the very first episode, so at least he managed to do that before he dies, because I do not think he's going to be surviving for very long, especially not with this, the female character attempting to manipulate him now against his friends. As to whether it worked or not, I don't know. She may have just had sex with him with no benefit whatsoever, and he just decides to stick with his friends, which I'm hoping is what happens. But in this world, not likely. There's definitely going to be a betrayal at some point. So we got some of the rules explained to us. I believe spades, it represents a physical game. Diamonds, wits, and clubs a team sport. And heart, messes with your emotions. So we're learning more and more about how the rules of this world actually work. And last episode was definitely my favorite of the two games that we've seen so far. The very first one, I think that was Diamonds, right? But as I said before, I seemed a lot of luck with logic. So as far as wits are concerned, I'm not sure how closely that matches together. But I definitely love this one. It's odd because this was a spades game, right? Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this was a spades game. But at the same time, you still needed two persons to actually win the game, or at least meet the objective, which was to find a safe zone and hit the two buttons. But one person alone couldn't have done that. So it's odd that it's a spades game, it's physical, but it still required teamwork to actually work, especially where Arisu was, telling everyone to spot the tiger and let them know where the tiger is, and they could have won the game without actually anyone even dying. But unfortunately, he didn't figure that out soon enough, so people still died. We met some interesting characters who survived. I'm not sure if we'll meet them again later on, but I suspect we will. The smart dude, I don't think we got his name. The one that kept pushing others to do everything, even though, to remove any risk from himself. So I didn't get his name, but I suspect we'll be seeing him again. While I don't like how he appears to be manipulating others to do his bidding, he's still very intelligent. So that much I'm interested. Makes me interested to see what else he does in other games. There's of course what appears to be an ex-military guy who did very well in combat, and he teamed up with Karubi at one point. So I'm wondering if Karubi can become that person for our team. Obviously he's not trained, so he's not going to be as effective as that guy was, but he seems to be a quick learner. So hopefully we'll have Karubi on with us for a bit. And of course our climber, who impressed me the most for the episode. I perhaps need to pick up some rock climbing skills, because that shit comes in handy. Zombies can't climb, so that that would be very useful in any scenario that you can think of. So she was very impressive. She was one of the few persons to actually take up Arisu's offer to work as a team. The blonde guy objected because he's an a-hole, but she saw the merit to that plan, and she decided to work with it, despite the fact that when she came in, she said you can only rely on yourself. I think at certain points you work as a loner, but when you get to the game, you have to adapt and see what the requirements are, and if necessary, work with people. Don't trust them, but work with them. So she's being smart about it, her approach so far, and she definitely has the physical capabilities. But of course, this was a physical game, so this may have just been the area in which she's the strongest. Who's to say how she performed in a clubs game, or a diamonds game, or even a hearts game? Which I suppose the hearts would work out very well for her, since she doesn't care about anyone else. Well, I wouldn't say she doesn't care, because I don't think, if she didn't care, I don't think she would have gone along with the plan. Much like the blonde guy. So I think she does care. She's just very careful to ensure she doesn't trust anyone, which is smart. As I said before in the last reaction, that I mean, the more you know, the stronger you are. So even with newbies, it's best to use the newbies as you know, decoys, which was done in the last episode. So our team just needs to get to the point where they're not so, you know, inexperienced and relying too much on others for information. So the more games they survive, the better equipped they will become in the future. So can't wait for the next game, guys. Let's check it out. The Aftermath. It feels bad that she died, but it was either her or him. To survive. That's the most basic of human instincts. So, I mean, gotta do what you gotta do. Aw, I guess she's not joining the team. Damn it. Can we trade her for the other chick? What the hell is that? Maybe she was just doodling. So she did it for a promotion. Or it could have just done the work. Yeah. I mean, I'm curious to know if they move from the location, can they join any game that's nearby? Or do they have to go to the designated location where their game actually is? With short as leg as it is, I don't know how easy that's gonna be. They'll have to hide him somewhere and then win the game. Is she trying to charm Arisu as well? No, you know, maybe she sleeps with all three of them, gets them to fight against each other. I think it's pretty obvious at this point that, you know, because he has a conscience, the Hearts game is going to be the most problematic for him. Oh. He was going to ask her to marry him. The girl from earlier. His boss's girlfriend. Has something to live for. It's time. Yeah, she's sowing those seeds of distrust between them. What kind of game is this going to be? They've already played spades and they've already played diamonds. So it's either going to be clubs or hearts. I don't think it's going to repeat. Okay. Tools? I don't think those are for building anything. For dismantling each other. Or 1, 2, 3, 4. There are only 4 helmets. Why? Yeah, this looks too similar to what the tagger is in the last game. You know, the color around their necks that exploded. Hearts. Yeah. Betrayal is here. So why aren't there other players though? I was expecting other players. That means that there can only be one winner. Okay then. So only one of them can survive. Damn. I was not expecting this. So is it if they make eye contact with each other, or if he sees, or if one of the sheep sees him? Run, Shota, run! Oh, you can't. Gotta injure the leg. Now Arisu is the wolf. Get her, Karubi. The only downside is that at some point they're gonna have to kill each other. Yes, now we know why it's called hide and seek. Yeah, I think Kirby's, I'm sure is done for at this point. He's already lost the wolf. He has to keep up to get it back. And he can't because of his leg. He doesn't give a damn about you. Uh-oh, uh-oh. Uh-oh. Run! Man, and Kirby's getting his ass kicked. I know he's injured, but come on. Does these guys not realize how the game is working? I mean, I feel Arisu is right, but I can't think of any way out of this. Maybe if there are some mirrors involved, if there are some mirrors somewhere on there, they could try to figure something out, but... Prayer will not help you here. Okay, right, her. Can we just kill her and then find a solution between the three of us? Well, I guess they've all given up. Guess Shota had a change of heart. Yeah, I let you bang me, so hey, you should be helping me. Who'd have thought Shota made the right choice? I mean, he's trying to help Arisu. If only Harubi would stop, maybe they could figure something out. Survival instinct kicks in. I mean, at that point, friendship's out the window, I guess, and everything. Aren't you just telling Shota not to take it off because it might explode? But who knows, that could be the solution. There were a lot of tools on that table that that didn't appear as though they're for inflicting wound or anything like that. Come on, guys, you're better than this. He's enjoying that. He's right there. They're just pretending as though he's not in the room. But I mean, if he didn't apply himself to anything and just waste the time, that's really on him. So I can't blame them for that. So here it's just a matter of who believes they deserve to live the most. Tough choice. I mean, Shota's already made his, so it's for either Caribbean, Arisu to decide who lives and who dies. I mean, even if he decides he wants to let them live, it still can only be one, so only one of them would actually survive. He's hiding. He's already made up his mind that Arisu is the one that has to live. She kind of got what she deserves. I feel no remorse for her whatsoever. Hide well, sheep. You're being too loud. Keep it down.
朝まで飲んだり、お前らと一緒の時は嫌なこと全部忘れるんだ。アリス、生きてくれ。
Live on, Arisu. Jeez. And he's all alone. That's the Hearts game. Alright everyone, episode 3 of Alice in Borderland. 7 of Hearts. And that was a heart-wrenching one. Damn. I feel for all of them. One of the things they did very well in this episode was highlight, what these characters had waiting for them back home. What was at stake here, and interestingly enough, I mean, Arisu was the one, in my mind, that's least deserving of moving forward, because I think they mentioned in the last episode that he comes from a very elite family, and he is kind of just wasted his potential and just stayed home, played games, whereas the rest of them didn't have that kind of upbringing, and they've been trying to make the most of what they were raised with, but he had it and he did nothing with it. So he was the least deserving to move on, except maybe the chick. I'm hating on her, but I mean, she did get to the company. She had to have worked. I'm assuming she had to have worked her ass off to get that far, and then she decided to sleep with a boss for the promotion, which isn't great, but it could have been for many reasons. The knee-jerk reaction or assumption is that, okay, she's just doing what a lot of people do to just sleep her way to the top, but it could also be a situation where as a woman in the company, she can't progress normally, by doing what everyone else does, no matter how hard she actually works. That does happen. I've seen it happen. It's not something that that's fiction. It does happen in the corporate world. I work for one of those such companies, and I see the way things operate there. So that could have been one of her motivations, and so initially I'm quick to judge her, but now that we see some of that information coming through, it is possible that she was just doing what she needed to do to survive in the real world, as she is doing here. So I still don't love the deception. That doesn't, her story doesn't absolve her of trying to turn friends against each other. So yeah, that's another discussion. So I mean, Arisu is on his own now, but my only hope is that he has learned from this experience. I think so far, I'm not expecting a complete change in the character's demeanor or anything like that. Like a complete switch, but I want this to make him stronger so that he values life more going forward, because he's carrying the weight of those two friends with him. I think so far he's been good in the games, but he's still playing that. He's still wearing his heart on his sleeve, you know. If you know, that's what I mean. Still trying to do the right thing at all times, which isn't always the best option, especially in these games. It may work in certain scenarios, but I don't. I think as the games become harder, he's gonna have to learn to weigh his options and not just go with what's right, you know. Because that's not always the best. That's not going to always achieve the best outcome. So we'll see whether this makes him a changed person or not. And that's not to say that I want him to become cold like that blonde asshole from the last episode, but just be smart about the choices that you make. The next time that guy tells you to just walk into a room, ask him why he's telling you to walk into a room. Don't just do it. You know, so don't put yourself at risk unnecessarily because you want everyone to survive. Because, you know, again, this is based on a manga, so there are going to be a lot of moments like that where the character does these things and it pays off because to move the story forward, it works. For, you know, from a manga perspective, they're written that way, and the character has plot armor, so he'll be fine because he makes those choices. But I want it to be a bit more realistic because that's just not how things work. In real life, things aren't always going to work out for the best just because you want to do the right thing. And it would be interesting to see, you know, to see that position challenged. You know, his stance, you know, wanting to save everyone, to see that challenged by someone else who, it may be that blonde guy, who knows, but someone who's taking a different approach, you know. So that would be interesting to see. I do have a nitpick though. As far as the games or the game rules are concerned. And someone can post below, let me know what how exactly that works, because when they're in the city and we see different game arenas lighting up all over the city, did they have to go to that particular game, or could they have gone to a different game? So for example, could they have tried to get to the beach and as soon as a game starts, they just go to the one that's closest? Or are they restricted to, okay, the game arena is that way, you have to go to that game arena that your phone or your ID is assigned to, or your visa is assigned to, or whatever the case might be? Because, and I ask this because when they go into when they went into the arena in this episode, there were only 4 helmets on the table, which means whoever is putting together the game master or whatever Arisu said, that person would have to know that those 4 persons would be the only persons coming to that specific arena. So that means that they are limited to which games they can enter. But I didn't get that impression earlier on. They gave I got the impression that, okay, you could just go to a game arena, you know. But that doesn't appear to be the case. It seems you have to go to a specific arena that is tailored for those persons. Because, I mean, the girl just joined his group. There's no guarantee that she was going to remain a part of his group, you know. If they had separated, would there still be 4 helmets on the table, or would there now be 3? I mean, that does mean that the game master is monitoring them in real time, so whatever group I guess he or she sees together, then they send all of them to the same arena. I suppose that answers my question then, but I don't know. I just didn't. I was hoping it would be a bit different, you know, than that. And I know you don't know what kind of game it will be until you cross, you know, the grid to get inside. It's just odd that it's done that way. It just threw me off a bit. That's actually how they're doing it. I thought you could just go to any game arena once your visa is about to expire, but it seems you have no choice but to go to the one that you are directed to, and that restricts their movement, because you don't want to search for the beach. They can't go that direction if they're forced to go to this arena, unless the game master then again knows that they're going towards the beach and sets up an arena in whatever direction they're heading. So the games seem to be tailored to the specific individuals in a particular area. So that's an interesting take. So I wasn't quite clear on that. So I guess I guess that's how it works. It would have. I feel as though it would have been a bit more interesting if, you know, there was some variety in terms of, you know, where you could actually go. as opposed to that. But if the game master's aim is to mess with people, then this is technically the best way to do it, because they have more control that way as to who goes where. So yeah, that is interesting, and because if Arisu and Karube had different times on their visa in terms of when it expires than Shota and the girl. So if Karube had decided at that point to go to the beach, he could have done that, and I guess there would have only been 3 helmets on the table at that point. So if he had gone, there could still be 2 of them alive at this point. So my takeaways, don't stick together. Don't stick together. If you're close with a group of people, don't stick together, because that increases the likelihood of all of you. You can meet back up at a certain point, but when your visa is about to expire, do not be in the same area. So be apart when it comes close to the expiration of your visa. But between downtimes you can be together as a group. But if you're in different areas and you go to different arenas, then it means having to choose between killing your friend and dying yourself is much more unlikely. So solve that problem. And I didn't want to say, for the game rules themselves, in terms of solving this particular game, I'm trying to figure out some way of how they could have actually done that, and that would be an interesting conversation. So if you guys have any ideas about how they could have pulled it off, go ahead in the comments. I'll participate in that discussion as well. I think they were at a botanical garden, so it's unlikely that this scenario would even be possible. But I'm wondering if it could have been done with mirrors. Mirrors similar to what you see at theme parks all the time. But in terms of the objective, you become the wolf if you make eye contact with the sheep, or the sheep carrying who was the wolf previously, I should say. So if they're all looking at each other at the simultaneously, then I don't know. It's one of 2 things. Either they could have used mirrors to somehow manipulate the software to say, okay, they're all looking at each other and they're all the wolves. They're all the wolf in that instance, so they all pass. Or the tools that were on the table, because those weren't all weapons. Some of them, as I think Arisu mentioned, he asked if they were supposed to be disassembling something. So that's the other alternative. It could be that you're supposed to use the tools on the table. You can't see your own neck to get it done, but if each of them, if they turn to each other, they turn their backs to each other, and they work on removing the collar from their necks, then maybe that could have been a potential solution. Of course, yes, it may have exploded, but we don't know. Arisu kept thinking it was similar to the Tagger in the last game, but that could have been the trick, that, okay, you guys played in this game, so you'd be hesitant to think about removing it, but maybe you could have just removed it to begin with. So those are the only 2 ideas that I can think of, that they could have found some mirrors, or even I saw them pass a pool of water or something, anything with a reflective surface that could maybe fool the software into thinking they're all looking at each other, and they all become the wolf. Or the tools that were on the table could have been used to disassemble the collars on each of their necks. So those are the only 2 ideas that I could think of to solve that actual game where all of them could actually come out victorious. But who knows? That could just be garbage. So post down below. Let me know what your thoughts are on this game. If you have any ideas as to how they could have gotten out of that alive. Hit like and subscribe, guys, and I will see you guys for the next one.